Ugh. Well, you do sound like Brian Johnson. You sound like a guy who has throat cancer.
Yeah. You sound like a garbage bin.
I sound like a garbage bin?
You smell like a garbage bin.
I definitely smell like You sound like cancer. I smell like a gently used Porter John. It is bad, isn't it?
You know when you shake up the trash bag and then just like you almost like power air like the fucking like shoot it up like through like a chimney?
Yeah.
That's what you did. Like those air guns. Like as soon as you sat down, that whole seat went.
You know what's crazy is I remember this one time that I was on a long drive somewhere. I think I may have been going to Chicago because that's usually where I'm going. And I farted in the cloth seat of my car.
Ooh.
And then, hours later, I get to my destination and I get up. And
it just dragged it.
Literally came right out of the bottom of the seat, right into my face. I was like, oh, I remember that. That was 2.5 hours ago.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's very bad. Very bad. It's just all the protein, I think, really is what it comes down to.
Oh, it's totally all protein.
Yeah. I call it protein.
Yeah.
But yes, it is quite pungent.
Yeah. Ugh.
But it is what it is. So we've got an awesome episode today. I already kind of threw out a little bit of a preview on social media. Not that really makes a whole lot of a difference because there's only, I would say a small handful of people that actually listen at those stories.
Oh.
Yeah. But in that, I already put it out there that we are doing the second edition, the second ever Boutique Week.
2019 Boutique Week.
Yeah, and I'm glad that we're doing one again, and here's why. The first one, I think, is arguably the most popular episode we've ever had. Well, I don't want to say it's the most popular in terms of, amount of, listeners and downloads, because it was earlier on in terms of, I guess it wasn't too early on. It wasn't that long ago. It was only, 30 episodes ago that we did one. But listenership is larger now, so you can't do it based on number. But I think based on, the receptiveness of it and the amount of feedback that we got, I think it is probably one of the biggest and best episodes that we've ever had, which is kind of strange because we've had some good guests on. I think we've conducted some pretty good interviews, but for whatever reason, that Boutique Week, the first one that we did, ended up being pretty popular, pretty big hit. So today we're coming in at the second edition, which I'm really excited about.
We're very fortunate that the networks picked up this show again. We didn't think we were going to get through the first kind of pilot of the Boutique Week.
Right.
But you, our watchers, across the nation, across the globe, have changed not only the lives of ourselves as producers, but also the lives of the brands that we represented in that episode.
That's true.
Because of that, now NBC, TBS,
yep,
and We Network, have also...
We as women's entertainment.
Yeah.
We value all networks.
Totally. And they're all in the bidding to see who's going to pick up this next episode that we're bringing to you of the 2019 Boutique Week.
This is true.
So this is going to be a good, exciting year.
It's very exciting for us. Before we get into it, I did want to just make quick mention of the fact, and this tickles me to a degree that I can't really explain. The CEO of Instagram has announced starting this week, he's going to be putting a restriction on certain accounts in terms of viewed likes to the collective audience. Meaning that if you have an Instagram profile of which you have built and you get, let's say you've got 100,000 followers, you get a ton of likes, and you base, I think the idea is that if you base what is considered popular or what is considered
by numbers,
by the amount of numbers or the amount of likes that hit a post, that is to the audience going to be erased. So the collective group of people who exist out there that follow you are no longer going to be able to see those likes posted in the form of a number represented on your page. So my thought was, how many people do you think are going to go away?
A lot. Here's the thing. There is a lot of young millennials who have based their life on Instagram numbers. In fact, it's gotten to the extreme that even some of them have been on the Dr. Phil show where they'll do anything and everything to get viral content out and get as much likes as possible, because for them, the more viral, the more audience engagement, the more money they make,
or the more internal success they've gained.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, not all of them come with money.
No.
Right? And there's people who I think are certainly trying to build to that point, but I think it's more of a recognition of who you are out in social media and less the money.
You're attention whores. Listen,
right.
Coca-Cola.
That's what it is.
Coca-Cola is not going to give you $1 million. Did
you say Coca-Cola?
Coca-Cola, because it does a number on me. Coca-Cola is not going to give you $1 million to take a salmon and smack it across the back of a bull's balls just for the likes. Not going to happen.
Right.
People are doing anything and everything to get attention, good or bad, on Instagram. Yep. I think it's a great chance for people just to take a moment back and just focus on the content. Stop thinking about the numbers.
You know what's weird is like more and more I started thinking about like even stuff that I was posting, because like a lot of everything that we typically post is relevant to what we have represented either on the podcast or reviews in the upcoming week. Sometimes I'll throw in like a smattering of something, but even the random posts, I want to make sure that they're meaningful to the audience. Like, you know, I did just a quick video of like my new humidor setup, or I'll post out like I'm really into the cigar bourbon pairings now. Like that's one thing that I toss out there because I want people's feedback. Like, I don't know anything about this. I want to put this thing out there that we can all have a discussion on, because I'm the newbie for once. Like I'm the guy who doesn't know how to do this. Right. So I'm trying to put stuff out there that I can actually collect feedback on, as to where other things are just posted out there. And the reaction that I think most people thrive on is just that smashing that like button. Yeah. It's like just ticking it off, right? Like every time it's like, oh, I can get to 1,000, I can get to this, I can get to this, I can get to this. It's just like this weird check mark in your own head, which is, for all intents and purposes, pretty meaningless, right? Like we even think about the ideas of people who are, I'd say people who are designated influencers, right? And there's a definition that's been provided to that, and it's like so many followers and so on and so forth. But the reality is that there's people who don't have that kind of following on social media. There's people that don't have that recognition on social media that you argue are in more and more profoundly or I would say inspirational or influential to people across the world, across the country, that simply just don't do it on social media, that do it through other avenues, that do it through, heaven forbid, person-to-person contact, right? Having a conversation with someone in person. So I think this idea has like been created around Instagram and social media. Is like this definition is put to this thing, you're considered an influencer. But the reality is I don't see a whole lot of influential stuff. Hardly ever.
No, but guess what? If I get 100,000 likes on my next post, I will put my penis through a taffy puller, sponsored by and brought to you by ramen noodles.
Well, there you go. It's out there. You know, there is a lot of that. So one thing I remember this is actually pretty fucked up, and it makes me sad in my head. But there was a girl and her boyfriend, and his whole idea was to become a quote-unquote YouTube star. Mm-hmm. He wanted to do something daring in his, I guess, entry video into YouTube, right? What can I do that is going to create attention, thus create the likes, thus create the exposure I'm looking for?
The guy that, like, the...
Yeah. Oh. So he asked his girlfriend, he put a telephone book up to his chest and asked his girlfriend to fire at the telephone book. The whole idea being that the bullet wasn't going to go through, because you could argue that a telephone book's pretty big, and you could argue in some calibers that it likely could not penetrate or pierce the entire telephone
22.
book. I forget what caliber she shot. But
Wasn't
she
it
shot
like
the
Desert
phone
Eagle?
book. No, I don't think it was a 50. Dude, that would have blown the phone book to pieces, and his whole body would have exploded. I forget what it was, but it pierced the phone book, and it actually went into his body and killed him.
Yeah, and you can tune into that episode of The Hot Ticket. It's probably like 5 or 6.
Yeah, did we talk about that before?
I think so.
Yeah, I think we may have talked about that
Like
before. I
episode
knew
5
it
or
sounded
6.
I mean, I already knew about it, but then I was
Yeah.
like, man, did we actually talk about this? Did we have this discussion? I think I probably was on the podcast. So it's just crazy. Think like the lengths people go to actually gain the exposure, which
You think
if you think about it idealistically, it doesn't mean
Yeah.
anything. It's all meaningless. I think it's what you do in life, and it's the interactions that you have in person. It's the content that you create and put out there that can get people involved, that gets people talking,
Yeah.
that creates a conversation. That's what's meaningful.
You think people are stupid now when you listen to this show. Just roll back the clocks about 100 episodes. They're still stupid.
Yeah, they're definitely still stupid. People are still doing this shit. It's fucking wild. Anyway, we are going to definitely get into this episode and again, our second edition of Boutique Week, which I am very excited about. So before we do it, Chris,
Ooh, trivia?
get me into the intro of this thing.
Oh, I'm so glad you did.
You wanted to do trivia?
Well, I mean, we could.
I don't have any trivia today.
Like Damon's, like when we used to go to Damon's.
I love that. I since we don't have hockey tomorrow, I've been going. Well, I did last week. Went up to Chappie's, and they have trivia on Mondays. It was pretty fun.
Yeah.
But
You mean
anyway.
do the intro for this thing already?
Let's do it. Yeah, we've got to get into it.
Guys, welcome to the 2019 Miss Boutique pageant. This year, 3 lucky ladies from around the world will get the chance to see who's the prettiest, hottest, and most tasty cigar lady of them all.
Love it. That was great.
Yeah.
That was great. I thought you had more. It seemed like you did.
Well, I was writing more, but I had
Right.
to stop short.
Yeah, I like it. So we score these in the same way that we score every other individual review that we do on the podcast. The only difference is we're bringing in multiple cigars, and they would be considered, however you want to definitionally explain it, are categorized as boutique. We could say boutique, we could say craft, we could say small batch. Doesn't matter. But what we're saying is not mainstream cigars.
Yeah. Maybe we could introduce the judges too. Like
Who are the judges?
something like
Judge Joe Mathis.
we'd like to welcome our judges this year for the 2019 Miss Boutique pageant. Corey Allen, cigar expert and Pooh Body Award.
Yep, that's true.
Because you were a sneaky boy.
Oh, stank face.
Pooh Body. And I don't know what I would be. Probably like, I don't know, 3-time champ Miss Ladyboy or something like that, and cigar expert Chris Allen.
Yeah.
Something like that.
That sounds about
We'll
right.
we'll fine tune this as we go. But yeah, something like that.
Yeah. All right. This is awesome. Let's get into the first one. We're wasting no time here, fellas and ladies. We do have a small female population audience.
Yeah.
So for the 3 of you that are listening, thank you for tuning in. We
Yeah,
appreciate
totally.
it. The pageant's just for you. That was sexist.
Was it though?
Not really. All right, let's get into the first one. Now, this is from a brand that I would say doesn't have a high degree of exposure in the marketplace, but for those who know it and for those who have tasted any cigars under this lineup, know that they're good. And the first one that we are breaking down today is the Curivari Buenaventura Cremas.
Ooh.
So the regular Buenaventura or Buenaventura. Buenaventura. The first one that really got a high praise and high notoriety was, of course, the one that hit, I think it may have been last year's, the year before, Cigar Aficionado's Top 25. People go, what the fuck's that thing, right? Keep in mind also in the way that we score these, we also do have a price component in here of which we will either give a 1% bonus or a 1% deduction, or we'll leave if we think it's appropriately priced, we'll leave it flat. So it can earn bonus points or it can earn a deduction based upon the price and the value of the cigar overall.
Yeah.
So, again, the first one that we're breaking down is the Curivari Cigars Buenaventura Cremas. This has an Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper, Nicaraguan binder, Nicaraguan filler.
Yeah.
So component-wise, not overly complex.
If you like your middle American short little honeys, dark skin honeys, this is the lady for you.
Right.
Sporting a nice white and red kind of evening gown dress.
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh-huh.
We smoked this in a Toro 6x52. This is the fucking craziest part about this cigar. You can get one of these for $6.50.
Wow, and she's cheap.
A 6x52 for $6.50. Would you believe it?
Yeah.
So, let's break down the cigar. Chris, What did you think about the construction on this cigar?
What a nice dark skin little honey. As she came onto the stage, there was no doubt that she was champion quality material. We picked the top women. Well, some of them. Not all of them, but some of them from 2019.
Sometimes you get a smattering of a big gal in there. You've got to work with what you got.
Yeah. And this year, this Buenaventura Curivari is just a beautiful little honey. Dark skin, nice, smooth skin, and stacked. You can tell she goes to the gym.
Yeah, interesting. The one thing that I can say about this, and I will make the connection of where this cigar actually comes from. So it comes from the Plasencia factory. Oh, surprise there that I'm going to love this cigar. Okay. Most people know that I have just a massive hard-on for anything that comes out of Plasencia. So I would say in terms of construction, it was not surprising to me that this thing is pretty much perfect in terms of construction. Very smooth wrapper on a 6x52. It actually, if you look at it and you were to compare it to anything that's in the regular Plasencia lineup, you put it side by side, you'd understand that, yeah, the similarities in terms of construction alone, you could tell that it comes from that factory. It's not hard to point out. As a matter of fact, I didn't at first know that it came from that factory, and I even guessed it right before we smoked it, and I was right. It's just one of those things that after time, from an appearance perspective, you see something so much, after you understand the quality, the time, and attention that a manufacturer brings to it, if they're even providing product for other brands, you can still see those similarities, and you can point out, of course, that was from the Plasencia factory.
Right you are, Corey.
What did you think about the burn?
Oh, man. How hot is this? God. It's going to be a tough year this year, Corey, because I think we've got some of the hottest cigars around the world. This one is no different. This Buenaventura is a very consistent honey. She burns so easily. She immediately hits you right here in the chest as soon as you take a puff of her. A 1-2 puffer.
Right.
Nice smoke production. A hot honey, and a potential winner of this year's 2019 boutique pageant.
Could very much be a potential winner. We at least know that it's going to be in the top 3.
Right.
The only challenge that I actually had with the cigar, and ironically enough, again, the fact that this is a Toro 6x52, the only thing that was really a challenge to me was the fact that there's just 2 points at which the cigar went out that caused a relight. Now, the good news is that it was very easy to correct. It was very easy to relight it, make that correction, and start smoking again and get a full amount of enjoyment. So nothing crazy in terms of like canoeing, running, nothing that took so much overcorrection to where it actually tainted the taste of the tobacco. So although it was like, shit, here we go again, it's not expected in a Vitola this size. But everything else in terms of draw, nice, easy draw, very good full plumes of smoke, consistent all the way down. Never even got just a slight run in this cigar. I mean, perfect burn all the way down. The balance of the tobaccos used, obviously indicative of that. This cigar had a fantastic burn on it. Wonderful draw. Minus the 2 issues as far as that just abruptly going out, everything was pretty much smooth and flawless.
Even with a couple fumble-footed steps, she walked out with confidence and kept on going.
Yep. What a wonderful lady so far. Now, arguably the most important part of these breakdowns is the flavor. So, being that this is a cigar that I had once previous before this, Chris had never had before. Chris, you tell us first what you actually thought of the flavors on this one.
Well, this year, because it's a new thing, what we do is we line out the honey on the stage, and each cigar judge comes up and starts licking her.
There's
taste like?
There's another way to do it. You just put your lips right on the end of her, and
you start licking and sucking or biting if that's what you're into. I know some people do prefer to bite on the heads of their cigar honeys.
Some people are chewers for sure.
But wow, when I take a lick of her, earthy, bitter, mild spice, sweetness up to about 25% in, and it sweetens out. What's interesting is this is what I would consider a prototypical Nicaraguan diehard at heart, right? Born in the lands of Middle America, trying to be one of them Cuban honeys.
Middle of South America.
Middle of South America.
One of the Americas.
One of the Americas that's below the North one.
That's fair. This cigar surprised the shit out of me for being $6.50.
I know, dude.
I will put that out there. So the first time I had this cigar, I was like, oh, good, googly moogly. This thing is incredible for the money. I was like, this cigar is very well balanced, a wonderful creamy flavor. I was actually almost overly pleased with the experience and couldn't believe that $6.50 is exactly what you'd be paying for this cigar. By the way, you're paying $6.50 retail for this cigar. This is what I walked out of a humidor with. Usually, because of the inclusion of the tobacco tax and other sales tax, is that this cigar you would think maybe up in that $7.50 price range, all things considered. So it's like, man, I couldn't imagine what you could pay for these things online. Now, what I really liked about the cigar that I was hoping to be replicated the second time, and by God would you know there was, is that what I really enjoyed about this cigar is that there is a little bit of a pepper rush up front.
There is.
Which more and more I'm beginning to enjoy as long as it's not long lasting. But what I love is that it just balances into a nice smoothness. I think the balance of the cigar is where it really shines. There's nothing crazy or wild about this cigar. There's not those intermittent changes that you're going to get. It isn't going to be the roller coaster. But from smooth, sweet, tangy, and just a little bit of spice, it's so well balanced all the way through. You get that through the 6 inches of this cigar.
Absolutely, 100%. If you like the slap and tickle of the type cigar, the Buenaventura female cigar is it's a beautiful example of that. Slap and tickle, slap you in the face, wake you up, and then sweeten you up.
And just sweeten you all the way to the end.
Oh, yeah, she's a
This
sweet baby.
is, I have to say, is a true finger burner of a cigar. This is one that you are going to want to smoke all the way to the end. And this is one I held on to literally until I was burning the tips of my fingers. It was fucking phenomenal. Now, again, we've already articulated here that this is $6.50 for this particular Vitola, this particular cigar. So, is it fair to say, without any assumption, that we gave this a pricing bonus?
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt.
Yeah, no way we couldn't give this a pricing bonus. You have to. Wonderful cigar, very few challenges, wonderful construction at $6.50. Absolutely gives a pricing bonus. And Chris, what was your overall score, including the
overall
bonus?
score for this Buenaventura, this hot little honey coming from Middle America, is 93% on my scorecards, Corey.
Oh, great. Googly moogly. I come in at this, including the bonus, right at a 92.7, which we round up to a consistent 93. This cigar achieves, at a wonderful price point, an average score of a 93 from the hot ticket.
Wow. Round of applause for our first contestant.
That's just absolutely
what
wonderful.
A beautiful lady.
Now, Chris, do you think that the other two are going to be able to match pace with this horse that's come out of the gate so strong?
I'll tell you what, she came out strong, and it's going to be real hard for the other contestants to try to keep up with her.
I do agree. And in anticipation for that, I'm very excited to get into the next two. But before we do so, we're going to take a quick break, but we'll be back at you guys in just a moment. All right, we're back. And we're going to introduce our next two contestants. Well, we're going to introduce one, then we're going to introduce the other. So, who do we have coming out on stage next, Chris?
We have the Illusione Cigares Privé Corojo.
All right, little private cigar.
Coming at you all the way from Nicaragua.
What I always think is ironic about, like, there's certain cigars, and there's certain cigars that are put out in the marketplace that are like special edition. Cigares privé, private cigar. This is one that was intended to be limited edition, only in certain stores for a given amount of time. Now you can get these bad boys fucking everywhere. No longer really that private. They should change the name to Publicio Cigares. Public cigar.
Oh, Publicio.
I'm not even sure that
is that in the Spanish dictionary, Corey?
I'm going to go ahead and say probably not.
Well, we'll say it anyways for the sake of TV.
Cigares Publicio, public cigar. Anyway, all right, let's get back into the cigar itself. What is it comprised of, sir?
We have a Nicaraguan Criollo 98 and a Corojo 99 Viso in Lajero long fillers. This is an all Nick.
Right, so we got ourselves a nice little Nicaraguan Puro here from Illusione.
And we had it in the little baby Robusto 5x52.
And what's the price point on this sucker?
I believe it's...
I already know what it is. It's $8.
$8.
$8 is the price that you'll pay for this private little session.
So about 100 miles away from the Buenaventura, this one comes at a demanding price of $8. Same profile, practically.
But not
same region.
But not really.
Yeah.
Also, totally different factory.
Totally.
But I like that you're trying to make the connection.
I'm trying to just...
I like how it has one Nicaraguan component. You're like, definitely from the same family.
Definitely same family.
Grown in the same exact field.
Mm-hmm.
Same exact
They
farm.
might as well be
and the
sisters,
same
Corey.
in the same exact soil.
When I saw them side by side, I'm like, whoa, they're twins.
Separated at birth, for sure. Let's get into the breakdown of the cigar. Chris, what did you think about the burn of this sweet, sweet little private cigar?
Listen, this little honey is coming sporting a black and white evening dress. A little bit of a change up. Nice, classy look. Nice kind of, I want to say rosado color. A little bit more blush in her skin, if I would be so bold to say so.
Mm-hmm.
Very stacked. Also, probably an Olympian. The way these things are built, they are just brick houses of muscle and strength.
Right. Definitely a stout. Now, I do want to say that in this particular part of the pageant, we are into the plus-size girls. So this one, she's a little shorter, a little bit heftier, but there's beauty in everything.
Absolutely. We do not discriminate in the 2019 boutique pageant at all.
I do agree with you that it is wonderfully constructed. Now, this isn't a surprise for anything that comes from Illusione. Everything that they bring to the table is typically always wonderfully constructed. I will say this, most Illusione cigars that I've had are usually thinner vitolas, usually below that 50 ring gauge. But everything I've had from them, I quite enjoy pretty much across the board in any vitola that they have. But this one is kind of weird because it is that traditional Robusto, and I don't know that I've ever had a traditional Robusto from Illusione ever. I was actually a little bit nervous about it because I do prefer their cigars more in the smaller Corona-type vitolas. So I was like, oh, is this one going to have too much of the guts in it? Is it going to be too stout for me? Is it going to carry a little too much weight, be a little too curvy? I don't think it was. It's beautiful.
I definitely do not think. In fact,
built like a little pit bull.
She commanded the stage with how much square footage she took up.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Move over, Buenaventura. There's a thicker hot lady on the stage now.
What did you think about the burn overall?
Oh, this is a point where while size can make a difference, one of the things I'll say between the Buenaventura honey and this Cigares privé is that they're both equally as hot to look at and smoke. This one commanded a 1-2 puffer, not too dissimilar from the Buenaventura. Not a step missed as she comes rattling out of the side of the stage, commanding her thumpage as she makes her way out. Now, she burned beautifully, just as consistent as the Buenaventura for myself, and no derogatory marks.
I think this cigar, so I love the fact that the Buenaventura smoked as well as it did, even minus those two little issues that I had. This cigar was over and above perfection, in my opinion. If I'm going to score this cigar, I could not believe how even the burn was. I love the ash that it left behind. It smoked so great. I mean, just the perfect resistance that you want when you're smoking a cigar. It had that, drawing a lot of smoke on each puff, which I really appreciate. And it burned so insanely even all the way to the end. Literally zero issues. This sets the standard. This little fat bitch, she sets the standard for perfection in terms of quality and smokage.
Absolutely. I think compared to the Buenaventura, this Cigares privé has now, in my opinion, potentially taken the lead from the Buenaventura.
The question is how do you get the horse back in the stable? Can you?
You lick her.
You gotta lick her.
You gotta lick her.
Now, and that's what we do in terms of the flavor. we're going to get in there real deep, and we're going to articulate to you exactly what our thoughts with Chris. What did you think about the flavor of this cigar?
I'm going to be real with you, brother. This Rosado Crujo wrapper, or the combination of Nicaraguan binder and fillers, had a similar quality to the Buenaventura, with one minor difference. This little fat honey that commanded the stage in round 2 is even sweeter than you could ever imagine.
I don't disagree with you. I do think the cigar is definitely sweeter.
Yes.
One of the things that I notice about this cigar up front is that there's no harshness to the beginning. There's no pepper rush. It goes right into a smooth creaminess. What is different to me about this cigar, and although it's very easy to pull out the pronounced flavors, this particular cigar actually does change up multiple times in the cigar. It almost follows that rule of thirds, which is super strange, right? Everybody follows the rule of thirds. I think sometimes it's pretty fucking stupid and asinine, but this one kind of does it. There seems to be a bit of a change up at certain intersections of this cigar, which I actually really enjoyed. The first third I absolutely love because it comes into that mild smoothness, very creamy, very sweet. I really like how it starts off like that because it's just not traditionally what I'm used to. What I noticed, though, is that you get a little bit of a change up in the second third, and it introduces more of like a woodiness, more of a smokiness. I remember drawing it and retrohaling and actually getting some of that like campfire burn, which was actually kind of nice. I like that change up a lot. Through the first part of the cigar into the second part of the cigar, I thought was a wonderful transition. What I didn't like as much as I didn't like the second third in transition to the final third, which to me, it just got overly bitter.
It did.
I think it got too bitter. I love bitter cigars, and I love that provided tanginess. There's certain tobaccos that I really enjoy, especially like a Honduran tobacco, like an interchanged Nicaraguan Honduran combination gives you some of that tangy and a little bit of that bitter. This one just was too bitter. I thought it wasn't as balanced and a smoother transition from the second third to the final third. And to me, it was like you have 2/3 of a great cigar, and then you have something that just kind of falls off. It trails off a little bit in the final third. I'm not saying I didn't like it. I thought it was still a great cigar, even finished off. I just didn't enjoy it as much as I did the first 2/3 of the cigar.
Sometimes the stage lights can affect you, brother. But I would agree, 100%. This little honey takes you on a roller coaster journey. There is literally a taste for every taste bud on your tongue. You want the bitter, it's there.
Yeah.
You want the little bit of spice, it's there. Not a lot, but it's there.
I think that's
you want the sweetness, it's there.
I think that's what I appreciated about this cigar so much is that I think what you get in terms of all these different flavors in the Buenaventura cigar, you kind of get them all at one time and you get them through the remainder of the cigar. Where this one's going to say, all right, you're going to stop at the stop sign here, and then I'm going to take you on a right-hand turn. You're going to go down this street. You're experiencing something different at certain iterations of the cigar, which I equally enjoy.
Yeah.
I just didn't like the final third. I was kind of hoping to go out on a crescendo. I was hoping for a real good final, here's this finale. Let's do it. Let's ramp it up. And to me, it just got a little bit more dull in the final third. And it also created an expectation of a wonderful cigar right from the beginning. The first part of the cigar is arguably the best part.
If you're expecting a long night out with this Cigares privé, it's probably best not to hang out, past about an hour. She tends to want to go home immediately.
Yeah, I agree.
So don't expect a long night out with this honey. She will get bitter. She will get mad at you at the end.
I think you could probably get to second base, but if you try to steal and slide into third, you're going to be in some trouble. She's going to throw you out.
Couldn't said it better myself.
All right. So we already said that this cigar comes in at $8. Now, again, not a very intense price point for really any cigar at the Robusto. And now we're specifically talking about an Illusione cigar, which some of them command a very high price. Where do we think this falls in terms of value?
The Cigares privé is no doubt comes from a middle class family, right? Mother and dad, hardworking, grown up, getting probably B's and A's in school.
Right.
Gets out of college, gets a good solid job. Is $8 worth it? With that totally disconnected analogy.
I was still, as you were talking, I'm still connecting everything in my head, and I'm like, where And
Nope.
it fell off.
Sometimes
It just ended.
Sometimes you're off. Listen, is she worth the $8 for the experience you have? Absolutely. Does she get a bonus? No. I think this is an appropriately priced cigar, and I think she's worth every penny. Did you just
No.
Did you just earn another poo body?
No. I think so. You didn't give this a pricing bonus.
I did not give this a pricing bonus.
I didn't give it a pricing bonus either. And here's one of the things that I'm really thinking about with this cigar. We talk about that Buenaventura, which is a 6x52, and we're also talking about a $650 price point, right? There's a lot going on there. There's a lot that it's given you. It makes it totally worth the money plus some. I think this cigar is appropriately priced. I think it's right where it needs to be. It may be just a little bit. I'd pay $850 for this cigar.
Sure.
I'm not sure I'd pay more than that. I really, really enjoyed the flavors up front. And honestly, had I think there been a better balance at the end for me, I could have easily given this a pricing bonus. But when you're really talking about 33% of the cigar that you weren't in love with, that you didn't really enjoy as far as the first 66% of the cigar, it's really hard for me to kind of give it a little bit of an increase in terms of the pricing bonus. So I do think it's appropriate right at that $8 range. So I kind of just left this one flat.
I couldn't agree more, Corey. I would have easily paid $8.74 for this, but not a penny more.
Right. Exactly. I completely agree. So for me, this got a perfect construction score, a perfect burn score, not as much of a perfect flavor score, but what did you score it overall?
What a great construction. What a great burn, and a quite tasty lady, but just don't keep her out long. Knowing that your date comes in at an $8 price point, she got a 93%.
Oh my God. That is fantastic. What a wonderful cigar. I scored this cigar, wouldn't you know it, at a 92%, which is going to give us a collective average score of a 92.5. My God, hats off to the Cigar Privé.
Round of applause for Cigares Privé as she walks away.
Currently in second place, mind you. Currently in second place.
What a great... She won't know that until the finals. But, we'll keep that between us as judges.
Right, of course.
And
of
you,
course.
the audience, who now know.
So let's just recap right now what we've gone through in terms of these cigars. We have now scored the Buenaventura...
Yes, Curivari,
Cremas at a $650 price range, and a Toro scored at an average score of a 93, currently in first place. We've just now finished up the review for the Cigares Privé from Illusione at an $8 price range. We smoked that guy or that gal, and a 5x52, almost a traditional Robusto, comes in at an average score of a 92.5, a half point shy, currently in second place. Taking the lead.
So far, she's sitting at a comfortable silver.
Comfortable silver.
Will
she get on the podium? We will find out.
We'll find out.
What do we have up next? This is the final third contestant and our second edition of Boutique Week. Chris, what do we have on the board?
She's got some big high heels to fill. This next one, coming to center stage, is the Crown Heads 4 Kicks Mule Kick 2019.
Oh, hot diggity damn.
Wow, look how tall she is as she enters the stage. This one is a tall lady compared to the other two. Wow. She is Amazonian.
Very thin. She's got the high heels on. I love it.
Wow.
All right.
Just beautiful, though, already.
Let's get into this. This particular cigar has an Ecuadorian Sumatran wrapper, which we'll get into in a little bit. Both Nicaraguan binder and Nicaraguan filler combination. This comes into what is considered a Toro, but it's one of those weird Crown Heads Vitolas, which is actually technically 5 7/8 by 52.
Yeah. And you know what we'll say to anybody? Just be you,
Just be you.
Conformity is fine to a certain degree, but just be you.
Just be you.
If you're more than a Toro, that's fine.
Be unapologetically you. This
Yes.
is what these pageants are all about. Now, this one coming at the most demanding price out of the three sits right in that $11 price range.
Absolutely. A more expensive date to take out during the weekends, but not overly pricey
not
compared to the other
overly
two
pricey.
ladies.
And what I think we have to understand about the cigar is now another iteration of the Mule Kick, the Four Kicks Mule Kick. And this particular one, of course, boasts the same binder and filler combination. However, the component that's different is the wrapper.
Yes, and last year's contestant, this 2019 Mule Kick's older sister, competed last year and actually got exemplary remarks as well. I believe she came in at a 92 or 91. I'm not quite sure, but she has been a crowd favorite as well as a judge favorite. Corey Allen has, on many numerous occasions, spoken to the 2018 Mule Kick. And this year is her younger sister.
Yep. It's move over, out with the old, in with the new. The 2018's got a bit more wrinkles on her.
Following in her, following in her sister's footsteps this year.
Got to follow.
Yep.
And can she take the crown is the ultimate question. Now, what did we think about the construction overall, Chris, on this particular cigar?
Listen, this thing's built like a champion. I mean, the name Crowned is in the title. This young lady, very tall, thin lady, is sporting a red and gold evening long dress with a ankle cufflinks. Beautiful, stacked, thin, just a beautiful, almost goddess-like, if I could be so bold. Towering above the the competition so far this year. What a beautifully constructed cigar, in my opinion.
What I really loved about this cigar is it's very rigid, it's very dense. That Sumatran wrapper, ironically, is insanely thick.
Yes.
One of the things that I liked about this cigar is just heavy in the hands.
She won't bruise easy.
So there's certain cigars that I love that when you feel them, you just know you've got something good. There's a density to the cigar. There's a rigidness to it. There's a quality expectation. It's got some of those little bumps, and it was perfect. You pull it out of the humidor, and you're just like, God damn, this is beautifully built. I love cigars that I actually think about that right before I smoke them. I go, holy shit, man, there's an intensity to this cigar. And of course, in my opinion, a separation maybe from the other two in terms of that construction, just noting that the differences and the density to it and the rigidness of the wrapper and the thickness of the wrapper is just absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Thought it was wonderful.
In terms of construction, these three young ladies are on equal footing almost. Equal footing.
Very much
Sure,
so.
one might be shorter, one might be fatter, one might be Amazonian looking.
Right.
But they are all beautiful women in their own right.
Of course.
Easy.
Of course.
So,
What did you think about the burn, Chris?
wow, as she came onto the center stage, sporting her red and gold, it was time to really put her to the test. And this girl commands the stage as well. It's crazy this year how tight the competition is. It's cutthroat. Each lady coming out here bearing their hearts and souls to us. This one was another 1-2 puffer, creating large plumes of smoke, a nice even burning consistent ash, and would you know it, just like the other two honeys for me, she never went out.
Ooh.
It's crazy. It is that tight of a competition this year.
Fantastic. One of the things that I really, really, really enjoyed about this cigar was how even the burn was. Now, I said the same thing about the Cigars privé from Illusione. This cigar, I would argue, had an even better consistent burn. What I really liked about it is the ash that it left behind is that nice intermittent gray and white. It looked so fucking beautiful, and weirdly enough, did not expect this one to really hold its ash as well as it did, but it did. So I love seeing that in a cigar. What I really enjoyed in addition to that is that there was wonderful full plumes of smoke from this cigar, which is not indicative of a lot of crown head cigars, especially ones that come from the EP Korea factory. It's something that is to be expected. The only slight issue that I had with this cigar was it was just a little bit tight. It offered a little too much resistance on the draw, but it wasn't one that was super negatively impactful at all. It just a little bit of resistance, but I think had I not got the full smoke out of the draw that I got, I would have been a little bit more concerned about it. but it was just a little tight, which it was almost something I could anticipate in the fact that going back to how dense this cigar was, there's just so much going on in there. Again, not anything where I'm looking at it going, wow, this was overly challenging at all. It was just not 100% preference that I would have in terms of the actual resistance to the draw itself.
I did notice the same. She kind of walked out walking a little bit tight, quite not, maybe popping out of her dress a little bit. Sometimes you got to blame the fashion designer on that. I think maybe her dress was a little too tight on her. That could have been the case.
Of course.
But yes, I mean, she still commanded the stage as a champion as she comes walking out. What a great burn. What a great burn.
Yep.
So next is we lay her down on the stage, and we all as judges go back up there to the stage and start licking her.
Yep. What did you think about the flavor overall?
Oh, my word. Now, here's the thing, everyone, that the first two had similar qualities on flavor. Similar. I would call them Cubanesque, in my opinion. There's more spicy Cubanesque flavors, or even sweeter with the Illusione Cigars privé. This one, you are getting something quite different, in fact. This one is more of a bitter, mild, spicy, and savory kind of flavor. And what's interesting about the Sumatran that we have complimented all manufacturers on in this last seasons of Sumatran crops is that there's a certain sweetness and nuttiness that always seems to make itself known and present.
It does seem that Sumatran cigars, as of recent, have it's stepped up in terms of, and crop, age, not really sure, but whatever it is, it seems like across the board, if you're blending Sumatran into your cigars and you're doing it the right way, you're really producing some good stuff. Crown Heads has done it with 2 different variations of cigars so far here in the 2019 year, and they've both been absolutely wonderful. I do agree with you. The one word that sticks out to me in terms of the cigar, and you said it, is savoriness. There is a savoriness to this cigar that I really didn't get in the other 2. What I really liked about this cigar is that you get a little bit of the pepper rush, but it balances out perfectly with that Sumatran wrapper, which you get hit with almost immediately. And it stays pretty consistent to the end. This is a pretty smooth, sweet cigar. I don't want to say sweet. It is savory. And it's savory from beginning all the way to end in what is almost a 6-inch cigar.
There is no doubt coming in with the Buenaventura that was a head-to-toe, suck it and smoke it until the end type of experience.
I think this one came to the pageant looking to do something more exciting, more different, not another Me Too, wanted to stand out, and that's exactly what this cigar did in terms of flavor.
Absolutely.
Separating itself from the rest of the pack.
As soon as she came on stage with her towering height and thin, stout physique, in terms of flavor, that woman will warm your heart.
This is a cigar that I've loved to smoke so far this year, and I think it's weird because I've smoked it in certain iterations of the year, and it's just like I'll smoke one a month, and it's like every single time I smoke it, I get something a little bit different but equally enjoyable. It's fantastic. So it's like a cigar that I really think you could pull one off a fresh box, smoke it, and absolutely love it. And I think you can pull one out 6 months later and equally enjoy it, but probably get something slightly different. It is an absolutely wonderful flavored cigar. Now, this cigar I smoked, again, perfect construction score. A little bit of a tight drug is a 1-point deduction. The flavor, absolutely phenomenal. So where does that give us? What does that get us in terms of a pricing bonus or delta? Chris, where did you put this cigar, knowing that it comes at that $11 price point?
When you're taking this honey out for an evening, there's no doubt she's going to get into your billfold just a little bit more than the first 2 contestants. There's no doubt about that. But you're getting more woman.
Yeah, agreed.
You're getting more woman. And you're getting more time with her. Because from head to toe, you can enjoy every inch of her. Every inch.
Amen.
Coming in at about an hour and 45 to 2 hours smoke if you really baby it. There is no doubt in my mind, just like the first 2 contestants, that each one is worth their value. And for the Buenaventura, which actually exceeded my expectation, actually got the bonus, But for the Cigares privé and this Mule Kick 2019 from Crown Heads, both of them equally worth their price.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. What was your final score on this cigar?
Wow, wouldn't you know it? As the stars align, you wouldn't imagine it, even for the slightest. But this 2019 Mule Kick from Crown Heads comes out at a 93% also.
Oh, wow. 93s across the board. You're making this very challenging for me. Thanks a lot.
Sorry.
I did not give a pricing bonus or delta to the cigar. I think it's appropriately priced at the $11 price range. Absolutely love the cigar. Think it's wonderful, and thus awarded it a 92 on my scoring, which, if you go back to the Cigares privé, averaged out at 92.5. This cigar averages out at 92.5. We must
Deliberate.
We must have
deliberate.
a tiebreaker.
We must deliberate.
We must break this tie. Now, Chris, between the two of them, which one could you find yourself smoking more often and enjoying?
Well, I think that's a great question too, as we kind of deliberate while the Mule Kick still stands on stage. Here's the thing. I'm getting a lot more smoke time out of the Mule Kick. It's also one by which I can smoke from head to toe. I didn't agree with you on the Cigares privé that you want to kind of put it down towards the last little bit. You kind of want to put her down.
Mm-hmm.
Coming at a much shorter ring gauge, still fat though. I feel like you're going to get more value and time out of the Mule Kick.
Interesting. I don't disagree with you there. I do think in terms of the wonderful flavors that the Mule Kick brings to the table, which I believe are pretty consistent from beginning to end, and ones I really enjoy, both cigars I've smoked previously on other occasions, I would find myself gravitating towards, for the same reasons, not only flavor, but also time of smoke. There's a little bit more there. I would have to lean towards the 2019 Mule Kick as my tiebreaker winner.
Yeah.
So that concludes it. Ranked from top to bottom, we have crowned the champion, we have crowned the pageant winner, the Buenaventura Curivari, which is the manufacturer, Buenaventura Cremas, the winner at a 93%.
Coming in at a silver place, you've got 2019 Mule Kick from Crown Heads. I also want to give a round of applause for all the lovely ladies who entered this competition. And coming in at third, bronze, we have the Illusione Cigares privé.
What is crazy to me is that in this particular scoring opportunity,
I don't think there was losers.
We have achieved over a 90% very objectively.
Yes.
Mind you.
And I want to say
it was to the point where I almost wanted to have a fourth cigar in here just to call it fucking loser.
Yeah, but then we would have to call it like tin.
Right.
Like you got the tin medal.
Yeah. Yep. Nope.
And no one wants a tin medal.
Nope, definitely not. So this will conclude our second edition Boutique Week